Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's new episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. BoomStick and friends. And indeed, we have a lot of friends here. Kay Asante is going to be here momentarily, but we have an amazing panel of incredible community members, as well, of course, as some really incredible topics to fill 2 hours. And we have lots of big opinions tomorrow evening, folks. Yes, it's finally here. We're gonna see the results at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time of what Microsoft is bringing to the table. We know 4 games, but thanks to Tim Dog, Mr. Insider, as he's known, and wearing it on his sleeve, we know that there is supposedly a 5th title that is going to be shown off. We also, thanks to many people in the community, and I want to shout out Tom Henderson of Inside Gaming. Well, he put it out there where, according to the YouTube, because it's been uploaded, because it is a video, it is not live, the program is going to last 48 minutes. And we know 4 games that are going to be there, and each one's supposed to have about 10 minutes per game, leaving 8 minutes. What is this 5th mystery game? And more importantly, is it going to be a stealth drop? Now, of course, Tom Henderson said in an earlier article today that he has heard that there is not going to be a stealth drop, but Microsoft, from what I'm hearing, is keeping things really close to the vest. And I like that. No loose lips and sinking ships and that kind of shenanigans. But first of all, let's welcome in the panel as we wait for Kason to get here. And then we're going to get into the topics. But I want to start first with Hargeet. Hargeet, yesterday you joined us, brother. Thank you so much for popping in. Super, super appreciate it. Of course, one of the things that we love about your opinions is that they are from your heart. They're a fan's opinion. You don't do the whole fanboy. You're not a gatekeeper, but you are a fan and you wear it on your sleeve, and we certainly appreciate that, brother. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah. It's one more day. We'll have some fun. I guess shadow drop versus stealth drop. I think like the stealth drop is about the game and you're getting it actually delivered, right?
Right. Yes.
And then shadow is you're announcing and delivering at the same time. I think they said there's no shadow drop. That doesn't mean there isn't a stealth drop. There is the possibility of something we've already seen before, and here it is. There you go.
You know what? We're going to get into that once Kay gets here, because I want to get everyone's opinion of what do you want that stealth drop to be? I have an opinion, but listen, folks, I want to bring in the Black Viking for a lot of reasons. First of all, yes, sir. Yeah, him and his team at the Longhouse Gaming Podcast have exploded on the scene. And they have taken over the conversation when it comes to the who of who you should be listening to that is new on the scene. Black Viking, brother, thanks so much for joining us. Last night's show, phenomenal. I was talking to you in the green room. I finished watching it today while I was doing laundry, as I listen to most of my podcasts when I'm doing housework, because it makes housework fun, right? Folks, they broke 1,000 subscribers incredibly fast. They are 300 hours away from being partnered with YouTube, where now they can have super chats delivered, as well as potentially getting some channel membership stuff involved. Black Viking, welcome. Congratulations on the incredible success, and I'm glad to have you here.
Man, thank you for having me on again. Unlike Hargeet, I am the slanderous one, I dabble in the mud, as you can say. But I got all that out of my system yesterday, so we're here to talk some games now, man. Yeah, but yeah, we've grown a lot. The Longhouse Gaming Podcast, man. I mean, we started December 5th, already at I think almost 1,200 subs. But yeah, man, if y'all come check us out, man, we have a good time. I think I curse like more than any sailor you've probably ever known. But we cut up, man. It's great. We talk games. If anybody gets out of line, we talk a little trash. You feel me?
Well, you put some of the famous ones out on blast yesterday, and some of them, deserved it. Some of the things that were said, specifically, Reforge Gaming, again, we don't like to name names here, his outburst about not dealing and having to talk with community members if they're not subbed or
Yeah.
channel members it's egregious. I don't know anyone that, I mean, listen, he has an audience and that's fine, but that kind of talk is I've never seen anything quite like it, to be honest with you. And it's sad because I would imagine that kind of rhetoric should lose him tons of subscribers, because how dare you talk to people like that?
It's crazy.
Yeah,
Egomaniacal.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah. I mean, listen, we're here to have fun. We're going to talk about gaming. We got a lot to get into. And like I said, here he is, Mr. Asante. Hey, Asante.
Hey.
How are you, fine sir? Hopefully you're doing well.
Good evening. Good evening. I am doing quite well. Appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me as usual. I'm sorry I'm late. Life is kicking my ass these days, but I'm here.
It has been. Yeah, work. They're making this man work. This ain't right.
You know, sometimes you gotta work.
Right.
I'm happy to be here.
Well, listen, brother, we're glad to have you here. We're gonna open up with a fun one because obviously Hargeet had clarified for us the difference between a shadow drop and a stealth drop. Now, according to Hargeet, and he's 100% right on this, a stealth drop is a game that we knew is in, it exists and it just drops on us, versus the shadow drop of a game like Hi-Fi Rush that we didn't know was in development and was dropped on us, and everyone screamed yay. So Tom Henderson of Inside Gaming said that there is not going to be a shadow drop. But then, of course, Hargeet brings up a great point. He didn't say there wouldn't be a stealth drop. So I figured, you know what? While he's saying that live on the air, let me add this fun tidbit. I'm gonna get the chat involved. We have over 400 people already here. We're only a few minutes into the show. I want to get your opinion. What game that you think? Well, what game that they are currently working on that is not out, that has not have a release date, that you'd love to see, quote unquote, stealth drop? And I'm gonna start first with Hargeet because he's the one that came up with it. Which of the big, and there's a lot, I mean, they're working on a lot of games. They are working on a lot of titles. What is the stealth drop that you would hope would happen at the end of tomorrow's show?
So, I mean, like you guys were, I was in for a little bit yesterday, but you were talking about South of Midnight and Clockwork Revolution are kind of preloadable now, right? Towerborn preloadable. Yep. Towerborn, I believe we've heard rumors, is kind of delayed a bit, right? It'll come out a little later. So I'm assuming that's not it, unless that's just like misdirection.
Yes.
That's always a possibility.
Misdirection.
Right. So that's probably out. If you look at a Flight Sim, I'm guessing that's probably more like a summertime game. That's when they launched the last one. It feels like it'll be a summertime release to me this time as well. So I'm going to say that's post the June showcase. I think we'll find out about it at like the extended showcase or whatever, or something like that. Right. I think that's kind of where that'll be. Right. So that leaves one of those two, the Clockwork Revolution and South of Midnight. To me, it's one of those. That'd be my guess. And if I had to pick one of them, I would think South of Midnight, because I think they've had longer to work on it and it's a shorter game.
Yes.
So my guess, maybe that. I would have said Towerborn if that wasn't, kind of like hinted to be delayed. Because if it's delayed, then that's not it. Because that one seems to be one that could be potentially ready to go. Contraband, I think, is out a year or so. I don't think it's coming this year. Maybe, but I think it's out a year. Yeah. We already know the other ones that were there. Indie was already a surprise, right? If it was something else, like, say, the Fallout or Oblivion or Marcus Phoenix collection stuff, well, those ones have not been officially confirmed. So those would be a shadow drop. So I think those are unfortunately out. So I'm thinking it's probably South of Midnight. Now rumor, this is just like rumor, but like the showcase, they really did want to kind of do here's the next year again, but they didn't want to say it. So when they did the June showcase last year, that really was supposed to be like the stuff that's coming over the next year and a half-ish. Yes. So you should really be seeing those games. South of Midnight and Clockwork Revolution are kind of tentatively intended to be this year. So it would not surprise me if South of Midnight is the one that is sort of given a release date of within a day or two, or if not tomorrow, like coming out this month. That could be it. That might be it, unless it's something else that's smaller, like Replaced or something like that. That could be a thing. We already know Stalker's been moved out. We already know that's coming September, so it's not that one. Well, that's kind of what comes to mind. It's always possible. It's one of the many indies that they've partnered with. That might be it, but I think it could be, if it's one of their own, it could be South of Midnight. That'd be my guess.
I mean, it's a good guess. General Spartan 27 in the chat says, I'm leaning towards 33 Immortals.
Ooh.
Which that's a really good pick, because even though
that is another one.
That's a good pick, and he's saying that because Towerborn is being delayed. And Towerborn, listen, all you gotta do is listen to I mean, we've seen only a little bit of it. The Twitter account, or the X account, has been very busy in the last couple of days, so that's why I thought, well, maybe that's what it is. But obviously it's going to get held up a little bit from a little extra polish. But they did put out some artwork from the game, and the game looks phenomenal. Looks really, really good. That's a really good pick. 33 Immortals is one of those games that I think is going to be well received from the community because of its multiplayer nature. Remember, you're playing you and 32 other people, and it sounds like a lot of fun. Like it sounds like it's going to be a blast to play. And if there's anything that we know about Xbox, well, they're known as the multiplayer box for sure. But the Black Viking, let's bring you in. What of the big double, triple A, and indie games that Xbox has coming in the next, in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, do you hope is the quote unquote stealth drop, as we know that we're not getting a shadow drop?
Well, somebody mentioned Replaced on here. Listen, I cannot wait until
that looks really good, dude.
Gets dropped. However, I was doing some digging, and they said they won't be in post production until later on this year. So,
okay.
I freaking wish it was Replaced, man. Like when I first saw that trailer, that was like what, 2-3 years ago. I was like, this looks fantastic, man. Like I think that's going to be a banger for sure, man. It's perfect for my ROG Ally too. You know what I mean?
There you go.
That's a perfect game for that. I'm in agreement with Hargeet with South of Midnight, and then somebody in chat said 33 Immortals. I think it can't be, I don't think it can be something like, Marcus Phoenix Collection or something of a known IP, or a bigger AAA type of game, because I think what benefits smaller titles the most is almost not knowing anything about it and then trying it out. You know what I mean? Like the Hi-Fi Rush, for example, I think most of its success came from it being shadow dropped, right? So I think South of Midnight, 33 Immortals, smaller games like that, and Replace possibly too, would benefit from a shadow drop, because like holy crap, it's out right now. Let me go give it a shot. You know what I mean? Regardless of what kind of game it is, like let me go give it a try, and then if it's a good game, people are going to keep playing it and praise it, and it really benefits the studio and the game. So
yeah.
I wish it's I hope it's South of Midnight, man. That would be
that's actually going to be my pick as well. I think that there is a lot to like about what we saw. Again, it was limited, right? But of course, if you are, I mean, listen, first of all, We Happy Few, folks, if you didn't know, it officially released on August 10th of 2018, right? That team has been cooking on this game for quite some time, right? Now, again, I don't know this officially because, well, I heard this, behind in some other channels that I kind of hang out in, that this was the game that they're currently working on, which of course is South of Midnight, is one of the games that when they were looking to acquire studios, they saw this and they're like, yeah, we want this. This happened with Obsidian. This happened with Ninja Theory. And I have heard that this also happened with Compulsion Games. I think that this game is going to hit. It's already, the aesthetics are gorgeous. The character already, again, we don't know much about her outside of the fact that she's endearing. I was already interested to find out her backstory. I want to know how deep this goes. Is this a family thing? Because obviously it takes place in the South, obviously south of midnight, and it appears to have a lot of the voodoo type of vibes that you're getting with it. You know, with the bayou and everything.
It's got to be Louisiana, right, Boom?
Yeah, that
It
definitely
is.
gotta be.
It is.
Yeah.
It is
It
Louisiana.
is.
Okay,
It's
yeah,
New
there you
Orleans.
go.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited for a lot of reasons. One of which is something that Phil Spencer said in an interview a couple of years ago when he was asked by the interviewer, and I don't really recall who did the interview. Phil was asked specifically, what game that you know about that we don't, that hasn't been announced, are you most excited for, and what studio? And Phil asks, he said, can I give you two? And I guess, sure, go ahead. And obviously his second choice was Ninja Theory's Hellblade 2, but his first choice was Compulsion Games and South of Midnight. And look, I mean, Phil's a gamer. If he's getting excited for this, then there's a reason that we should probably get excited about this as well. And again, like I said this, publicly, I was hoping that We Happy Few was more like BioShock. That's the kind of vibe I first got when I saw it, and it wound up not being what I wanted, so I'd never finished it. Good game, didn't could have been great, but again, they were a small studio at the time. I have big hopes for this one, for South of Midnight. Real quick, Boss Mod Lethal Papa, who's been a channel member, folks, for 52 months. God, brother, thank you for the generosity. He says this: "What's up, everyone? Hope you are as excited as I am for the showcase tomorrow. Hopefully, Xbox delivers a good show." Yeah, I think it's going to be a great show, dude. Like, I really think they're gonna start off the year big, and I cannot wait for tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. Que Asante. Okay, so there's a difference between stealth versus shadow. We're not getting the shadow drop. Okay, fine, that's great. But we could indeed get a stealth drop.
Yep.
What are you hoping it is?
So I will play along, but first I will say I hope they don't give us a stealth or a shadow drop, because I need them to not train the consumers to expect that every year, because that's a slippery bad slope. That's what I'm saying. But
okay, I mean that's a fair take, because again, I think you're onto something. And
they need to walk before they run, before they fly. Stop.
Right. Well, look at the trend.
Setting the bar so high already.
Well, I mean, a perfect example to agree with you. Look at the trend. Didn't we all say, okay, what's the stealth drop? Right? Like, we all expected it. Exactly. And that's exactly. It's you don't want to train the consumer, but exactly. I'm not going to front. I still want one.
But South of Midnight is great. I'm looking forward to South of Midnight. And yes, it has to be Louisiana, because we didn't see any twerking. Otherwise, I'd been Florida. Let's keep it moving.
Hold on, juveniles from Louisiana.
It is supposed to be. Yeah, it is supposed to be in New Orleans. That like their description of the game. It is supposed to be New Orleans. It's that voodoo scene. Yeah.
That was my poor joke to remind y'all of the what do they call
his home state's twerking.
Not even my home state. I would say what is it of the what do you call it, the movie, or the fictional or non-fictional thing that will become GTA 6. But that's neither here nor there.
Yes.
I say South of Midnight's a good option. There is another option that no one has brought up yet, which I am super excited for, and the indie community has been waiting for it forever and a day, and that is Silksong. And I have it. Like there are some lists somewhere in the world. It's been a
while, hasn't it?
And that game is on it, and it's been a long time, right? This could be one of those situations where out of nowhere, hey, you're getting Silksong, and then technically, that's not them giving you a shadow or a stealth drop, because it's not theirs. right? It's not technically theirs because it'll eventually be everywhere. But maybe it comes out.
It's going to launch
first.
everywhere, is it not?
Oh yeah. It will be everywhere.
Yeah, it will, right? Yeah.
It will be everywhere. But maybe something like that comes to pass. I would be ecstatic. I would love it. But to be clear, again, I just want them to have a decent show and not set people up for failure like they've done in the past. So please don't put me in the path where I'm like, oh yeah, there's another one and a shadow drop and a stealth drop. And then 2025 comes around. I'm like, where's my shadow, my stealth drop? And you all got, well, this is a bad year. And I'll be like, no.
I think they have enough. They can do it.
You think they can do it? They do have enough.
Brings up an interesting point, though. You do bring up an interesting question. Do we expect the Dev Direct to be stuff that is exclusive to Xbox, or can it really be anything?
That's the question. I mean,
the name itself is kind of indicative of, I think that's a great point, because where's the line? Like, where's the line? If again, just reading the room in front of me, when they say developer direct, I would like to believe it's their own developers.
Yeah, it's all first party.
Yeah. So then it'll be first party, which means 33 Immortals will be out.
Yep.
Right. Then Silksong, Hollow Knight sings Silksong, that should be out.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, it would have to be something like South of Midnight or one of their own things.
Hey, it takes the first time to do something to change the trend. And again, like I said, we don't like them continuously training us in a bad way. Yeah. Who says they can't bring a second party contract?
But they are, right? And that's the thing that contradicts it. Ara is not a first party studio.
Exactly. This is my point.
It's a first party IP, right? Because I think they own the IP now, right?
But it's made by
a third party.
Yeah,
so
that's right. Yeah.
So
yeah.
So it is possible.
It is possible. So I'm hoping for Silksong. Why? Because it's far more plausible. Because but
Silksong is multiplat.
It is multiplat.
It's multiplat, right? Okay.
It's just dropping into Game Pass day and date.
Yeah, I think it might be dropping into Game Pass day and date, which kind of makes it an Xbox game because it's dropping into Game Pass day and date, right?
Because that's the exclusive.
There you go. That's
pretty soon that will be the exclusive.
Oh, stop it! Let's not start down that path. Oh Lord. Anyway, but yeah, that would be my choice for sure.
Well, I mean, it's a good choice. It's one that I think a lot of people would really dig. I think it would take the internet by storm for a lot of reasons. Obviously, the first Silksong, it made a lot of incredible waves, right? Like it exploded on the scene. It's an indie darling for sure.
One of the best Metroidvanias ever made, Yeah. So part 2, I'm waiting for it. Let's go.
Yeah, and a lot of people are. You're certainly not the only one. This is one, again. It's one of those things that the whole. Okay, so I have 2 thoughts here, guys. I want to bounce this off you for a hot second before we move on to the second topic. Now, you say Silksong, and it's a good pick. And my greedy self, my greediness, is this is a day for Xbox and its fans to celebrate. Mm-hmm. So, and again, I'm not saying this is how I 100% feel. I want everyone to game however you enjoy gaming. That's fine. But this is a day that this direct is going to be on everyone's mind because it's the first show of the year. Microsoft is showing some massive AAA games. Having a stealth drop of Silksong, even though it would be great, because that's going to be a banger of a game, because it's going to be everywhere, I don't think it has the impact as it being a game that's only available on Xbox or an Xbox Game Pass. Now, again, I know it's gonna sound a little skewed, right? But then if it launches on, in this direct, it's going to be everywhere, taking away a little bit of shine from this direct. Am I crazy saying that?
No, I mean, unless it's a timed exclusive. You know what I mean? Like if it's timed, I don't think
it was announced as one. See, that's the thing.
I don't think it is. We can look it up.
Yeah, I'm digging through the site right now.
I'm almost positive it was announced for everything except at the show. It was announced dropping into Game Pass day and date, which is huge.
Okay.
Yeah, it says it's coming on. Yeah, it's like Linux, Mac, Windows, Nintendo.
It's here, there, and everywhere.
PS4,
as it should be. As it should be. Yeah.
It's everywhere.
No, I'm just saying, like I said, from a fandom's point of view, you know what I'm saying? It's just, this is Xbox's day, right? And truthfully, why do I see in my mind that someone like IGN, they're just a bunch of freaking tools. They're like Home Depot. I'm sorry, that's what they are. They would write a story, Silk Song drops, and they would announce every platform but Xbox, even though Xbox just had a direct. That's just what they do, right? They're just cheap like that. So again, that's just my hot take on it. Look, I want to bring into the conversation what happened yesterday. Hargeet, you happen to be with us live on the air as it was announced, and that is the fact that Hellblade 2, its release date has leaked. Now, this leak comes from two people that I actually know. One of which is Colt Eastwood. He talked about it on XNC on Monday with Mag, and also Ecstasies, who, of course, if you don't know who he is, and if you're not following him, you should definitely follow that dude. He is a podcaster that comes all the way from Spain and Madrid, Spain, as a matter of fact. And he's connected, very much like Colt Eastwood is. Now, I'm sure that the fine folks at Microsoft and, of course, at Ninja Theory are not happy that the date got leaked, but there is some significance to it. And the reason why I want to bring it up, and let me just bring up my own DM because I sent it to myself. I want to give a shout out to the gentleman who tweeted it. Hold on just a second. Let me find it here. Okay, so Trey Coban of Twitter. It's at Trey_COBAIN. He talked about it specifically, but why I think it's important is, if you didn't know, May is Health or Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yep.
And obviously, mental health is a major problem in this country. I would imagine that it is a big problem in other places in the world. I don't know. I'm talking about, because I'm here in this country. Mental health is something that a lot of people are afraid to talk about or embarrassed to talk about, and you shouldn't be. And now, before we get into the Hellblade topic, I do want to throw this out there, being that we're talking about mental health. I am a fan of Octane, and it's a hard rock station. It's metal. It's metal. It's what me and Mrs. Boom listen to. Katie Babs is one of the DJs, and she is always talking about, and she says that every day that she's on the air, that there is a number that you can call if you are feeling, like the world is kind of closing in on you, and you kind of want to talk to somebody, as you should, before maybe thinking about doing harm to yourself. And that number is 988, folks. They're open 24 hours a day. They are Monday through Friday. They're Monday through Sunday, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, both here in the U.S. and in Canada. So if you are someone that's struggling with your mental health and you want to speak to somebody, you just dial 988, and you'll get in touch with somebody that might be able to help you. And like I said, spread that word around. 988 is super easy to remember. And again, that's just that's when the popo comes out for me. I can never stop trying to help people. It's in my DNA.
Hey, Boom, can I speak on that for a second?
Please, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I am. I have PTSD from a tour that I did for Mortuary Affairs while I was in the Air Force.
Wow.
PTSD, and mental illness in general is like a serious big deal to me. If any of y'all in the chat, man, my DMs are always open. If you don't feel like calling a hotline, which you should, if something's going astray, I've dealt with the fucking gauntlet. Sorry for cursing.
No, that's all right.
but my DMs are always open for y'all, man. If y'all have any issues whatsoever, or need some coping mechanisms or anything like that, I can lead you in the right direction, especially if you're like ex-military or something like that. I have plenty of resources at the ready. So,
well, we appreciate that, brother, and we appreciate you sharing, because that's not easy to do. That takes a strong man, of course, who you are, and again, you're not afraid to talk about it, and that's the first step right there. That's the first step.
Yep,
so we definitely appreciate you sharing that, and that is important. Like I said, I say this all the time, as well as Black Viking. My DMs are all open. I've counseled quite a few people, and I'm proud to do it, and I'm happy to do it as just doing the good human thing. But let's talk about this date, because live on the air, Hargeet, I wasn't sure if it was you or someone else looked up the games coming out in May, and it was clear. There wasn't anything announced for May. Now, obviously, we're only in, still January. It's just the first month of the year, and things could change. But how do you feel about May for Hellblade 2? You kind of feel like that's a good month. It's right before the summer showcases start. That usually happens the first, like 10 days into June. I don't know what it's going to look like this year. I'm definitely going to be going out there. I know you said you want to be going out there as well, Hark. Kay Asante wants to go out there. I definitely, we missed that last year for, some crazy reasons, but this year we seem like everyone's going to want to go. Is May a good release month for this AAA exclusive?
Yeah, I mean, I've also been hearing this date for a while. There are various sources, including Colt, but so this is not new. But yeah, I think that is a good date. And look, we'll hopefully find out in the direct that is the date, and that just solidifies, hey, other games, this is coming out then, so you can kind of work around that. Yeah, I don't think there's anything currently announced for May, so that's good, right? But yeah, it's before the June showcase. It's not too early, but that doesn't necessarily matter. But I'm thinking more for like Game Awards, if it is in that category. That hey, it's like mid-year. It'll hopefully get a lot of time for itself, and it'll get remembered. Sometimes games get overshadowed. Hogwarts Legacy. Anyway, I think May is a good enough month, especially since it is about the mental health aspect of it. And, that month is kind of associated with that, right? So it's a good month to release it. It's fine. And again, they have to slot a whole bunch of games in a whole bunch of months, right? So they have a lot potentially coming out this year. So we'll see if like this showcase is really the first 5 months, and then June onwards we have the rest of the year and all the stuff coming. So yeah, it's fine. So that would be like, in my estimation, by the end of this, I think people are thinking Avowed would be later in the year, and this would be later in the year. No, I think all those games that they're talking about are coming up before June.
I do. I actually have to agree with you on there. I think there's something to be said about the first 5 months of the year, and you get to June, you say, well, boom, what could be in June? My feeling is that we're gonna get like a trailer or a peek to what Gears 6 is potentially going to look like. We're going to get some sort of a trailer, and then followed by, hey, we got one more thing for you, Gears Collection. That's your stealth drop. That is your quote unquote shadow drop, because they announce it there. It's real, and here you go, and you get a chance to as soon as the show is done, go and play it. Which would be dope, and that would be what a way to cap off what is expected to be an even better E3.
Right, and you have Flight Sim coming. We know that's coming, so that's probably like August, right? Just assume. Yep. And you got September already with Stalker, right? That's already listed as. And November is going to be Call of Duty. So you only have a handful of months for a lot of other games. There's Clockwork Revolution as a potential, Towerborn. There's potential for maybe a Forza, right? Forza Horizon 6, right? And so like you're already kind of filling out the year, and there's others, right? So we'll see, but like I think this Dev Direct is really the first 5 months, and we'll see whatever comes out in January. I think that's the stealth drop is January, and then it's gonna be like Ara, and then Avowed, and Hellblade.
It's Power World, Hargeet. That's our drop.
Look,
that's our,
and that is an exclusive, right?
Yeah,
that is an exclusive.
Yes,
it is.
It could be.
That's our Genshin Impact. That's our Genshin right there.
I mean,
and there are other fun announcements. Final Fantasy is coming out, right? Final Fantasy 14 at some point.
Yeah,
it's coming out. It's a big add to the platform. Granted, it's been out on PlayStation for a while, but that's a big add to the platform.
It's funny you mentioned Final Fantasy because Jez Corden talked about it the other day. He said it in that he's hearing conversation that Xbox is working with Square to get Final Fantasy 7 on Xbox.
It's
Does that
16 at
happen
some
this
point.
year? It's 16 at some point. Yeah, he mentioned it in his article that he wrote. He said that at some point those two would possibly even come to Game Pass, which would be bonkers. One way or another, those games are gonna. They're just. I hate to say this, and this is not console worry, folks. This is just a fact. PlayStation gamers are just not buying it. They're just not. I didn't play 16. I heard it was really good. I know everyone enjoyed it quite a bit. I know quite a few people enjoyed it. But I hate to say this, but PlayStation gamers, man, they're just not buying it. And
You think Rebirth will do better?
I don't. I think Rebirth is going to do what 7 did. I think you'll get 5.2 million people to buy it.
Was that all that they bought? 5 million?
I think. Well, no. I'll get when the initial numbers were 5.2, I believe.
Wow.
I'll get the actual numbers in a second. I don't know how much.
And that's PS4, right? Not PS5.
That was PS4. Yeah, there was an upgrade
Yikes.
that you could pay for, which I did like a jerk. But I
not looking good for them.
To date, like when did that game come out? Because to date, it's only at 7.
7 million. Yeah.
Whoa. That's for 130, 40 million consoles.
Yeah.
Yikes. Yeah. That's not good.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
I mean, listen. It's again, Jim Ryan. The reason he got out there and before he was sent packing, he told you folks, PlayStation gamers are just not enough, right? He wasn't lying. When I mean, think about that. As big of and Final Fantasy VII remake is freaking phenomenal from top to bottom. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, again, I know there's a lot of criticism. Oh, they're breaking it up into parts. Who cares? The game is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, but the parts are like 100+ hours.
Yeah, it's they made this game so much bigger than the original one, and it would be dope to see it on Xbox. I would play through it again. Honestly, I really would. Black Viking, let's get your opinion on this. Yeah. Hellblade 2, May 21st is the rumor that's floating around. I've also heard the 15th or the 14th, which is also a Tuesday. It's a week before it'd be the 14th. Whatever day it is, do you feel May is a good day, a good month for this game to hit?
Yes, I do. I think it's actually kind of perfect because as I'm looking at like the video game release schedules, there's absolutely nothing announced for May. Absolutely nothing. Plus with Mental Health Awareness Month, if they do like they did last time and they partnered with a certain charitable organization, I think that would go pretty far as far as advertising the game and doing some charity work all in the month of May.
I love it. Great idea.
I think it's a perfect because they did it last time, right? I forgot which charity they did it with. They donated a certain amount of proceeds.
For what? For Hellblade 1.
For Hellblade 1, yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect month to launch the game in. I don't think that it would do good no matter when it launched, but like a May time frame versus a September time frame is better in my opinion for a game like Hellblade.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a single player game, right? There's no worry about people, not being available because obviously kids are getting out of school. June is usually the end here, at least in New York, for the end of June for kids to get out of school. Obviously, it's not a multiplayer game; it's a single player game, and it's going to have millions of people to play. It's dropping into Game Pass day and date, dropping into Xbox Game Pass on PC day and date. Yep. I agree with you. I think it is a great time for a lot of reasons, and I think one of the major reasons that I love about this is that Ninja Theory, as a developer, they have taken this mental health, aspect of which is a huge part of this game very serious. Mm-hmm. It is very important to them, and I think that should be important to us as people. Not as just gamers, just as human beings. And the fact that this is going to be potentially launching in a month where it is an awareness month for mental illness and mental betterment of your health. I think it really does works in tandem tremendously.
Yep.
And I love it. First of all, the game looks amazing, and it's going to be all of the years that they put into this game. It looks freaking phenomenal. We got the combat that we wanted. It looks visceral. It looks brutal. You're a Viking, so you understand. You're definitely gonna
100%.
appreciate the kind of accents to the face situation that may
I'm
happen.
I'm a straight up pagan, baby. Like, yeah, bro, give me all of it.
I love it. I mean, good stuff, man. And again, just going right back to the fact that it is mental health awareness month. It just works. It really does. And I love the fact that and that's the thing about Microsoft, right? We know that they support their studios, and because mental awareness is important to Ninja Theory, this is strategically done. This is not an accident, folks, because they could, if the game is done, they could release it any month. They specifically, again, this is a rumor. I don't know for sure. This is what's out there. Might release it then, and I think it's perfect. Kay Asante, what about you, man? What do you think about May being the month, or May 21st more specifically?
Sounds about right to me. You know, it definitely sounds about right. And if you look, as the Viking has, if you look at the release schedule, where else would they release it if not there, right? And either that, or they make it their big tentpole Christmas release, and that's highly doubtful that they give you a developer direct on a game that they plan to release during Christmas season. Then it would probably been shifted towards the later half of the year as far as the direct is concerned, just to kind of keep the hype train going. So I think really the very nature and the fact that they've called it out. I mean, we've seen it multiple times. We saw it at the Keeleys, right? It is now close to Deathloop territory, where they've kind of shown a lot of it. I feel like if they show too much more, they might be in Deadpool territory, where I'm just like, hey, just let me play the game at this point. I've seen too much of it. I think the next time you see it, you will probably see another few odds and ends as far as combat is concerned. I'm hoping it's something like combat against multiple assailants, because obviously that's the criticism that's been given it, that it's very, very singularly focused when it comes to hand and whatnot. I just want them to show a little bit of that, and then show that May 21st release date. It sounds right. It definitely sounds right. Now, obviously, rumor and speculation abound, but even without that in place, it definitely sounds right. I don't think that's a problem. And then obviously it opens the door to what's happening in the next 6 months. So that's where more excitement can then be played out. So no, I honestly think it's probably right on the money.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's a perfect month as far as we know. If you're looking forward into May, there isn't anything really announced. Now, of course, that could change with time, but you want a game this big that is a console exclusive. And again, yes, it's coming on PC, sure, but you want to give this as much breathing space as possible. And I think May again, this thing has levels, because if it is May, let's say for instance that it's true, and that's great. Obviously it coincides with something that's very important, but more importantly, if the game scores like we expect it to score, right? It hits, it's a 90 meta. People are loving it. People are playing it. We're rolling right after that is June. Right into showcase season. And what better way to roll on a high note than having a AAA game that's an exclusive, launch on your platform, and then you roll right into the showcase, and then we see what's coming for the next 6 months, and then the 6 months after that potentially. It seems too good to be true, to be honest with you, but I hope it does in fact happen. Gentlemen, I want to bring up the next topic. This one, I think this one has some legs, and I really want to get everyone's opinion on this. Now, obviously, the talk of the town for Xbox its millions of players, and the gaming industry as a whole has been this third party shenanigans, nonsense, whatever you want to call it. Is it a bunch of smoke? Are there some half truths here? Well, no one from Microsoft is talking. Well, that's actually not true, because thanks to Tom Warren of The Verge, he posted something this morning that I wanted to bring into the conversation with the community, as well as, of course, this amazing panel. He tweeted this, folks. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella on the future of Xbox. And this is what he had to say, and I quote, "We think that now we have the ability to do what we always set out to do, which is build great games and deliver them to folks across all platforms, which is Xbox and consoles, PC and mobile gaming, and cloud gaming." Right now, this apparently this interview is from December of 2023, which was just last month. Now, I am going to let you hear it. It's a minute and 12 seconds. I'm going to do a screen share, and I kind of want to talk about it because a lot of people, their narratives, of course, the minute that this got out there, we saw people quote tweeting Satya. "Oh, you see, third party Xbox. There you go. He said it." Which Viking, you're laughing, and Hargeet is laughing because I am like, where did you folks hear that? Because I certainly didn't hear that. But, just for shits and giggles and context, I'm going to do a screen share so we could listen live, and you folks can check it out and see whether or not you agree or disagree. Let me do a full screen, and here we go.
Jacob asks about the health and future of Xbox. Satya, could you give an update on our gaming business?
Yeah, we're very, very excited about everything that's going on in gaming, especially with the close of Activision, Blizzard, and King. We think that now we have the ability to really do what we've always set out to do, which is build great games and deliver them to folks across all platforms, right? Which is Xbox and consoles, the PCs, and now even including mobile gaming and cloud gaming. So we're excited about the future. We want to do our very best work in gaming. It's a core business for us. But also, I see tremendous synergy between what we're doing up and down the AI stack. I always say Microsoft's not a conglomerate. We have one platform that we express through multiple different addressable markets, and gaming is one. So when I think about AI, what we're doing at the infrastructure layer or what we will do at the edge, it's sort of the same set of transistors that first were used for graphics. Guess what? Are being used for AI. So you can connect the dots and see why gaming is going to be more strategic to us.
And real quick, before y'all add in, that last piece he said about the things being used for GPUs and now being used for AI, that is the reason why NVIDIA no longer gives a crap about any of us, because they get all of that money. They own AI. It's all NVIDIA. But yes.
Well, I mean, listen, I think it's a great talking point, folks. I'm in the camp of, even before I get there, let me just catch up on the super chats, and then we will get into that, very specific topic. I really want the chat to get involved in this because there's a lot of tension in the community right now. I see some people calling it hogwash, and I a bit agree. I think there's some people trying to poo-poo it, saying that there's no reason for concern. That I do not agree with. I think there is reason for concern because no one has said anything. And I think that, we did hear there was an interview with Phil Spencer and Jez Corden, as a matter of fact, in December where, Phil actually confirmed, hey, man, we're not going third party. We're not putting Xbox Game Pass on Nintendo and on PlayStation. He was pretty clear with his words. I don't know where we went from there to where we are here because of a rumor. And again, Nate the Hate, he gets some things right, but folks, he gets some things wrong as well. Sorry, he's not always right. Before we answer that, let me say a big thank you to Don Otaku, who drops a very generous $10 super chat and says 48 minutes for the direct. You would think 12 minutes per game, but they said indie was 10 minutes. That's probably the longest, which is why they said it's so. Where's the rest of the time going? The fifth game, and that's where. And again, Tim Dog. when Tim speaks, I listen because I know Tim personally. I know him personally. He's a good dude. He doesn't do stuff for clout. He just doesn't. He'll fight with you, and he'll make. That's just what he does. Tim is Tim, but he wouldn't be making this up for trying to. He doesn't have a YouTube channel. He's not trying to get subs. So if he said that there's a fifth game, I kind of believe him. Andre Doyle drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, South of Midnight or Legacy of Kain remake. Seriously, though, I think it's a first-party AAA game, and I know we're all going to be shocked. Awesome show, brother. Thank you so much for the kind words and, of course, the generosity. Traybone408, who has been a channel member for 7 months, says this. Trey Cobain, I'm dealing with mental health issues. There's no problem to acknowledge that. Help is needed. It doesn't make you less of a man to admit it. Straight up. There you go, brother. If you need help, you ask for it. Listen, our DMs are open, brother. Anytime you need to talk, just, hit us up and we'll hash it out as good community members and good humans should do. So thank you so much, Trey Bone. Super appreciate that. Asante, I'm gonna go to you first, brother. This has been a topic of contention. You and I and Everborn on a regular basis. Folks, if you don't know, we're really good friends. We're all brothers, and we talk almost every day. And this has been a conversation of why it doesn't make sense. At least for me, I think that if you're trying to take over the market leadership, right? And that's what they want to do. They don't want to stay in third place. They want to be in first place, as they should. I don't know you get there if you give away your first-party AAA bangers, allow Sony to continue to deliver their AAA bangers, hold content from you by making these deals, only because you're chasing a few $1 million that you might make by selling this game. To me, it doesn't. The dollars just don't make sense, in my opinion. I think ultimately you do hurt the brand, and a lot of people will feel kind of slighted that because I believe. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Asante. Something that was very interesting that Everborn said was that. So let me get this straight. PlayStation is not going to get the 60 metagames like the Vampire one. Why am I drawing a blank?
Redfall.
Thank you. Good grief. The Xbox can keep Redfall, but they're going to give away Hellblade 2. Like it, and by that logic, it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. And you kind of really sending just a crummy message. I'm sorry. I just think that it is. That's just my take on it. I know a lot of people are going to agree. Some people are going to be like, hey, no, I want games everywhere. Good on you, man. I mean, if I'm not going to hate on you because you want games everywhere. I have multiple platforms. I play on everything anyway. But I kind of want Xbox to have their own, puff pieces. What are your thoughts on what Satya had to say? Does that give any indication to third-party Xbox?
So first and foremost, before we go any further deeper down this rabbit hole, let's be clear who is speaking here, right? He's a super intelligent individual. He has an enormous responsibility, but like Jim Ryan, I think he'd hold the controller upside down. He's not a gamer,
right?
He's not a gamer, right? He was brought to Xbox under the auspices of dollars and cents, not because Call of Duty is cool or because this game is awesome. Phil is a gamer. You can check his receipts. Satya is not a gamer. Right? If you listen to the words he literally was saying, he didn't want to say Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S. So he said the Xbox, the consoles. Right? How many consoles do they have? 2. So it's plural of the consoles. Doesn't mean that he meant the Series X and S when he said Xbox, and the other consoles mean Switch and PlayStation. Does not mean that necessarily. If you hear this man clearly. Now, had a gamer been talking to you, they would have been a bit more particular, a bit more direct, a bit more specific, right? Because gamers know these things are important and they use those parlances in a correct way. He did not, right? He just said, oh, the Xboxes, the consoles. Think about it. How many consoles do they have? They got 2. So he's not necessarily wrong there, right? His 1 + 1 doesn't automatically equal multiplat, right? But let's be clear, right? About the grander discussion about multiplats, right? A lot of feelings are really raised about this, right? I've been in Discord chat rooms. I've been in many places where otherwise very rational, very seemingly normal individuals jump off the bridge and make sure they cut they cut the cord to their parachute before they jump off, just to make sure they die, right? They're just like, it's crazy. All I say to that, and should they, shouldn't they, will they, won't they, all I will say is, for a while now, right, they always get doubted, right? You people doubt Phil, people doubt Sarah, people doubt Booty. Put the peaches in the chat for Mr. Booty. Needless to say, they are always doubted, right? But every once in a while, those same people are the ones that come back, and then later on you hear, oh, they were playing 4D chess. Look what they did with the Activision Blizzard. Look what they've done, right? Oh, they're saying, no more exclusives because they're coming on PC. A year, 2 years later, well, when's PlayStation going to do it? Because that was the best move they ever could have done. These people have earned your trust. They have, right? Every time there's a back and forth, it always ends up somehow coming up roses in their decision making. Not always, right? And when they screw the pooch, we are the first to put their feet to the fire. And by and large, they listen and they reverse course. They've done so on a few occasions as well, right? Do I think this is ultimately the right move? My verdict is still out. But before I even give it that serious thought that it's necessary, I want the people that have earned my trust to sit down on a couch, look into a camera, and tell me what's happening. If the rumor is exactly what if the fact is exactly the rumor, then I want to hear why, right? Chances are it may not be exactly as everybody is listening, as everybody's hearing, right? Or it may be nothing to see here at all. Right? Obviously, if there's smoke, there's fire, and there are lots of voices in this conversation now. So I don't foresee that somebody comes out and goes, "Oh yeah, that whole thing was just complete hogwash." Never mind. I don't foresee that necessarily, but I also don't foresee them going, "Well, all of the stuff that you heard, the reason why we're quiet is because it's all true." Right? I trust them. They have earned my trust. So before I jump out the window, before I grab the pitchfork that I've sharpened off screen, I want to hear from President Bond. I want to hear why or why
Indeed.
not. And until I do,
yeah, that's fair.
I'm nonplussed right now. That's just where I am, right?
I think it's what you're saying is incredibly intelligent as well as being very fair.
And I'm asking that others please do the same. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're above reproach. I'm not saying that they make no bad decisions. I'm not saying that your feelings about it being potentially problematic is wrong, because one thing that's good about them is they listen intently to the community.
They do, yes.
They do, right?
Yeah.
And what have you heard? Nothing from them so far, right? So take this as a learning exercise. They're trying to gauge the community. Let's say, for the sake of argument, they leaked it to Nate the Hate. They just dropped a bug in his ear so that he could spread it around to hear the
which we've heard forth,
they've
right? done. We've heard that. Kay, you froze. Oh no.
Yeah.
All right. You know what? Maybe he's having PC issues, but we'll get him back here in a second. Hargeet, I saw you shaking head. I know Black Viking has a lot to say. I want to get to him as well. I'm just waiting for a second to see if he comes back. If not, we'll go right to K. We'll go back. We'll come back to K Asante so he can finish his point. So, Hargeet, I want to point your attention to a message or someone in the chat. Dr. Martin. First of all, brother, thanks so much for being here. Super appreciate it. This is a great point, and I want to expand on it if you don't mind. Dr. Martin says hardcore Xbox guys make up a very small percentage of the fan base, and he's right, the same way as PlayStation. He says Satya wants to make more money than exclusivity will provide. So I got some pushback for that. I think you're onto something. Of course, he wants to make more money than exclusivity will provide. But see, here's my pushback, Dr. Martin, and I want to use this as a talking point for our geek. And listen, folks, I got to bring up Amazon Prime. I got to bring up Netflix. When you decide that you're going to pay monthly for a service, there's got to be something in that service that is valuable to you as a viewer. I'm gonna put myself on the stand. I got a new TV. It's best rated one of the best gaming TVs of the year. I've never owned anything that good. Trust me, it was well worth every dollar. But 6 months of Apple TV came with this. Now I've never had Apple TV. So I know there's Ted Lasso. There's a bunch of stuff in there, and I'm like, whatevs. So I got the 6 months, and Mrs. Boom and we went and said, okay, we're fans of Godzilla and Kong. Let me go watch their show. We binge watched it in 3 days. It was freaking amazing. Guess what we're doing? We're staying sub to Apple TV because of this show. And then we started looking. Like, for instance, Hulu. Like, I'm sub to Hulu. I don't really use it that often. But I tell you what I did watch, and I watched it multiple times with Mrs. Boom, is Prey, the Predator movie. One of the best in the freaking whole series outside of the original, right? Phenomenal. You can only find that on Hulu. I can only find the new Godzilla show on Apple TV. You can only find The Boys on Amazon Prime, and you can only find whatever your favorite Netflix show is. Like, for us, Netflix is a big deal because Mrs. Boom and I are into K-dramas. Yes, we love them. We watch them by the freaking boatload. It's crazy how many we watch. But I stay sub because of that. And to Dr. Martin's point, I hear what you're saying, but how does Microsoft intend to hit 50 million, 75 million, 100 million subscribers on their service that is one of the best in the business, offering the most value to its customers without giving your AAA games a chance to breathe and turn the tide? You know what I'm saying? Like, we haven't even gotten to the first Call of Duty in Game Pass. That is going to set off a migration that is going to be huge, because why spend $76.43 if you can spend $16.99 to get Call of Duty, Black Ops, Gulf War, and everything else that they released this year? I know I don't want to sound like a lunatic or anything, but I think I'm onto something here. Hargeet, what do you think?
So, look, Microsoft's standard is to put everything everywhere, right? And Satya is going to have that mindset. We're still due at some point an ABK roundtable, which I don't think we've seen one yet. And what the heck does this partnership mean, right? We got one for Bethesda, which now we're not sure if it's true or not, where it was supposed to be, this is about great exclusive games coming to you on platforms where Game Pass exists. We don't know if that's going to continue with ABK in any fashion. It may be everything ABK is fully everywhere. We don't know yet, right? Because we've never really gotten a deep dive on what that is. And that may not happen until all the court cases are done. The gamer lawsuit is like done, and the FTC thing is done. Whenever that happens, whatever, right? So we may be waiting for a while. But we're due that to kind of try to understand what the heck that means in this whole context, right? The problem we're running into is that, like, there's this whole thing of console war, and the other two consoles sell like 100 million plus, and Xbox just never has gone that far. And should Xbox try to do that? Chances are it's probably never going to get there before the console fizzles out, right? So they're looking at the calculus of what it means to have your console. I mean, it doesn't need to sell that much to sustain itself, right? You don't have to be, at the top console vendor to be in the market. That's not the case, right? You don't have to be the top soft drink maker to stay in the market. It doesn't have to be that, right? You don't have to be the top fast food chain. To pick whatever you want. You don't have to make the most cars, right? People can be in the market and not be at the top, right? It's fine. You just have to have a business that's sustainable. They certainly have that already, right? The thing is is that sustainment based on having something on the platform with exclusives or not? And in some case, it is, right? You have to come to an Xbox for certain games, right? And what we would run into last generation was the only games were Forza, Gears, and Halo. And we're like,
Right.
well, that's not enough, right? Because okay, yeah, you bought Minecraft, but that's everywhere. That's not enough, right? And then okay, you added Sea of Thieves. All right, cool. Can we get something more? And now we finally get more. Now you're saying when they come out, but maybe they're not really exclusives. Like, come on. So you finally give us these studios for the beginning of their life cycle with Xbox. They were delivering on games they were already working on, right? And all of those were multi-plats, right? And we just let we said fine. Wasteland 3 is everywhere, fine. Psychonauts 2 is everywhere, fine. Deathloop and Ghostwire came to PlayStation first, fine. Right? We just kind of like let it go, right? Okay, that's the way it is. Outer Worlds went everywhere, fine. All right, now it's our turn, right? So now we get Outer Worlds 2. That's gonna be ours. Avowed. That's gonna be ours, right? So they're gonna finally be exclusive, and then you find it's not. Okay, so I don't know where we are with this because it's too wishy-washy. What I'd rather have is Satya Nadella, Brad Smith, Phil, and Sarah come out and say, "This is what we're doing."
Yeah.
I'm kind of just done with the wishy-washiness, right? And if you want to bring the CFO out, right, because he's also one of the ones that keeps saying this thing, like that's totally different from what Phil keeps saying. Like, no, you guys need to be on the same page. You need to have the same damn message. If it's third party, fine. If it's exclusive, fine. Tell us one way or the other, right? So we're not in this like, is this game going to be? So is Blade going to be an exclusive? At this point, I don't know. Why? Because they keep doing this.
Yeah.
Right. And I shouldn't have to have that reaction. I shouldn't. It should just be obvious. Right. It's a Bethesda game. You said Bethesda games are exclusive to platforms that have Game Pass. If Nintendo doesn't have it and PlayStation doesn't have Game Pass, it's an exclusive game, is it not? Why do I have to question this?
Interestingly enough, adding some fuel to that fire, Hargeet. You mentioned Bethesda. Well, didn't they go out of their way to make Indiana Jones exclusive? Didn't they go back to Disney and say, hey, listen, we want to make this exclusive, and they're like, okay, and they made a deal. Why do that? And again, I think it's not stone cold evidence that you shouldn't have any doubts. But I think that they went out of the way and they had to spend some serious bucks to make that an exclusive. Then why would they put all their other stuff everywhere? It doesn't make sense.
It seems to be turmoil, but within the ranks, and some of that turmoil is spilling out, right? And that's how we're getting this. And so to your point of, is Nate the Hate right? We don't know. It could. I think Kay was mentioning this. Could it be like a feeler that they just threw out there and said, hey, let's see what happens when the community, if we tell this to the community, how do they react? Right. And we can get back a response. Right. And you can kind of get like, okay, well, this is how which is why I'm vociferously against it. I don't want this to be the case. At least this generation, just be clean. Look, you said Bethesda games, they're going to be exclusive to Game Pass platforms. I want that to be the status quo for now.
Yeah.
Right.
Fair.
Once you have enough content that you can now say, you know what, it doesn't matter for a third party because we have so much first party content. Even if we put it elsewhere, we're marketing those games here and people will want to be on this platform because Game Pass makes it compelling. And when we market the games, they're just going to associate those games like Call of Duty with Xbox. If they went and bought Square, every Final Fantasy is going to be associated with Xbox, right? It will be the opposite of what you get today, right? So that's the kind of thing I'm looking at. Even if it stays third party, and if they buy anything in Japan, guaranteed it's going to stay third party because the majority of the customer base today is on platforms that aren't Xbox. So they're going to keep it third party, but it means that guaranteed those games in the future will all come to Xbox, right? That's what you're getting out of that. And then you start building that mind share. And that's what they need to do. That's where I see them going. And I'm hoping that's what Phil sees. This is a long strategy. You absolutely are going to go third party. I know that, mostly because console is going to fizzle, right? And so you have no choice. But it doesn't have to be today.
Yeah, I agree.
It can be years from now build up your publisher profile, right? You have 3 that you just bought, 4 with Bethesda. You had your original. Go get a few more. Once that's kind of there, and a lot of games are now marketed by you, people start associating a lot of gaming with Xbox. It changes like the mindset out there that you don't just skip Xbox anymore. You kind of have to pay attention to them, right?
Yeah.
The more enthusiasm you create, the more of these dev directs that are dropping Indiana Jones, the more game awards with OD and Blade, right? The more of those you get, the more people are going to not ignore the platform, because right now that is the case. They ignore the platform around the world. Here they don't. Here in the US, it's usually pretty good, but in most of the world, they ignore the platform. That's what I think needs to change. And I think you need to have some exclusives to pull you in this generation to start laying the foundation for that third-party move later. I think they'll still do it, but it's going to be a longer-term play. Now, I don't know where they are because it's too wishy-washy, right? I'd rather they just be clear about it. Have a roundtable discussion with those executives to say, no, this is our path. Satya's agreeing. The CFO is agreeing. Sarah agrees. Phil agrees, right? This is what's happening. And that way we don't have this wishy-washy thing of, are they going to take everything and make it exclusive or not, right? So, right, I keep hearing and they're not going to put this game or that game. I don't know what they're going to do. Until they tell me, I don't have any assumption, right? Because Hi-Fi Rush, I never expected that to be something that would have to go third party. But Sea of Thieves, you're telling me 30 million players wasn't enough?
Yeah.
So then tell me what you're
growing, by the way.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's better than anything PlayStation has ever done, right? Their max is 23 million sales, right? That's better than that on a platform that's sold less than half the number of consoles. What more are you expecting from your Xbox fans? Like, that's pretty good. Like, how much more do you want? Right? So why would that have to come to the other side? So you have to kind of explain what you're trying to do. What should I expect next? Right? And so the assumption that it's 2 games, it's not going to be 2 games if they do this. It's going to be much more than 2 games.
Well, I think
So,
you bust open the dam because it starts with 1 game. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And then you're just saying, okay, well, what's the rationale? Right? If you're making enough profit, you just bought ABK, who's going to just double your profit easy, if not more. What's the issue that you need to resolve here? What are you trying to do? What is it your vision is, right? Because you see something from Phil, you see the opposite from the CFO, you see something different from Satya. Come on, put out an actual simple roundtable like you did here. Tell us what the heck you want to do, right? I don't want wishy-washiness. I want direct answers. Here's our vision.
I have a question for you, because I see some
Why is that a
pushback
problem?
with this. Yeah, no, but this is a really good question to follow up for you. Are Xbox owners owed an answer?
To some level, yes, because you bought a platform, right? Let's say that,
and you stuck with a platform through the fucking dark days.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
there's that too, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But let's say it's something else. Let's say it's Chevy has some weird issue every now and then in their car, right? In one of their main models. And they find out internally and they're like, well, we have a fix, but we're not really going to be public about it. Is that okay? No, it's not okay.
It's not, absolutely not.
You have to disclose. You have to offer a fix, right? You have to be direct about what the problem is and how you're going to resolve it, right? Somebody bought your platform. You need to be honest with them about what they get out of it, right? So that's what this is, right? If a Samsung TV cannot work with Netflix, well, I think that's kind of a problem. And you can't just suddenly say, well, it doesn't matter. No, it does matter. And you have to resolve that problem, right? And you have to be clear about why it happened and what you did to fix it. So there is an expectation of, I bought your thing. I expect some sort of, and by the way, you don't have to take my word for it. Phil said it. Phil said it in Jez's interview. Like, people should not have to guess that the next game that I'm putting out is it's exclusive or not, right? We owe that to the people who invested in our platform. So yes, 100%. I think they do owe this to us, right? If you've bought this platform, you had an expectation of, this is what I'm getting. If I'm not getting that, well, that's a problem. right? So yes, I think there is some level that they do have to like tell us what it is they're doing. And yes, Phil is supposed to be the head of Xbox, but Phil has a boss and he's going around saying stuff. And then he has a counterpart with a CFO and he's going around saying stuff. I just want the clear answer across the board. Like all of you come up to consensus and freaking talk about it and tell us what the hell you're doing. And then we know what the heck's happening. That's it. It's just not that difficult, right? I know, like, long term, I get it. You're going to be third party. I get it. So you can't make definitive statements of we're never going to go, but you can at least say for this generation, for the next 5 years or whatever it is, this is our plan. That can't be that difficult, right? Just do that, right? And then we understand what's going on, right? I like, there's too many of these back and forths, and there's way too much smoke for this to not be a fire that actually is, right? So we'll see, and I'm still not convinced it's just going to be 2 games. I think it's going to get much larger than that if they start. So whatever, but that's kind of my thoughts on it.
No, it's a well thought out opinion, brother, and I truly appreciate it. Listen, Black Viking, before we get you in, oh, by the way, Kay's internet dropped on him. He's trying to get back in here, so we'll get him in here in a second. Let me just catch up on some of the super chats, Viking, and then we'll get your take, because obviously I saw you shaking your head, so I know you have a lot to say on this, and I want your point to be heard. 9 to 5 Dad, welcome to the channel, dude. Thank you so much for being here. And he drops, folks, a very generous $10 super chat and says, just want to donate to the channel live. I'm always working during these during the live streams. Just wanted to contribute some monies, as you say to the channel. Thanks for all the community. Thanks for all that you do for the community, brother. That's very kind of you to say, and certainly we appreciate the generosity here. Listen, man, I'm glad that you are enjoying the content. That's awesome. That makes it all worth it. Sir X-Men drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, Cylons are coming, not Terminators. Cylons, everyone. I think he's talking about open AI. Hopefully the Cylons don't come, and not the new ones. They suck. Anybody here an old prick like me that remembers the silver Cylons with the red eyes that went back and forth from Battlestar Galactica in like the 70s? Yeah, I'm old. I'm sorry. That was dope. And their ships were dope too. Dead Planet drops a very generous $2 super chat. This is a great statement. If Xbox loses the hardcore, they're dead. Period. And I think he's on to something, because unlike PlayStation, who 85% of their populace are casuals, Xbox doesn't have that. They have hardcores. Now, I know it's probably, it's still a small percentage, but the hardcores are what keep Xbox, rolling, and they can't take their fan base for granted. They just can't. We have a new channel member, folks, Drew McFarland. Drew, thank you so much for joining the channel. That is very kind of you. Thank you so much for that. Highlander 001 drops a very generous $5 super chat. Actually drops 2 super chats. One of $5. He says, boom, you have to watch Man on High Castle. It is the alternative sci-fi show. It's about the Axis 1 World War III. Trust me, you're gonna love it. Yeah, we've been getting a lot of people like, oh, check this show out. So we have a few that we're gonna get into. Thanks for the suggestion. His next super chat of $2 says, MST has to be Microsoft has to be clear with where their games are going, and I think that's what Hargeet said. He's 1,000% right for saying that. Shout out to One Punch Jedi, who drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, Xbox win a gen in consoles. First FN. He says Xbox to win a generation in consoles, they have to first FN compete. And they're doing that now, which is why you can't give this away. This is what you worked all of these long years to get to. Enjoy the fruits of the labor and let your fans enjoy it. And but I've said enough. Black Viking, let's get your detailed take on this, because I could tell that there's a lot to say here.
Yeah, man. First of all, since you have Apple TV, right? Plus,
yes,
you have without a doubt, you have to watch Severance.
Severance. Let me write that down.
That is the best show that I've watched in probably the last 5 years.
Really?
It's only one season right now.
Okay.
It's peak. It's meta. I mean, I don't know what else to say, man. It's so good. It's so good. But yeah, let me get on this, man. To Hargeet's point, Xbox they have the studio. They planted their seeds a while ago,
Yes.
right? And they're now going to start picking fruit, right? I mean, that started last year, right? They started picking some apples here and there, but now they got a whole orchard, right? They need to take a page out of Sony's playbook when it comes to marketing. Now that they have all these studios and all these games coming out, especially when it comes to games that are considered third party, because where did everybody think Hogwarts was at?
They thought it was a PlayStation exclusive, dude.
Yeah,
They sure enough did.
They're even doing the same thing with Tekken now. A lot of people think like, hey, like Tekken's on PlayStation,
Yep.
right? Like, even though that's traditionally a multi-plat game, but like, they're doing the same thing. Like, if they need to go balls to the wall when it comes to marketing, once all that ABK stuff drops in Game Pass and the new COD is coming out, I better see. I mean, you kind of talked about this a little like a couple hours ago. I better see commercials for every NFL game, every NCAA game, every NBA game, billboards everywhere I go. It needs to be plastered everywhere that COD is finally home, big Xbox logo, and then you get mind share based off of that, right? And do that repeatedly with every game that comes out. Like, they need to go crazy with marketing. And they also need to kind of get with the times a little bit and start incorporating a little bit of pop culture when it comes to their marketing. I mean, we saw with the new Yakuza game that Drewski was on there, right? If y'all know him as a comedian, but very well loved, very well liked comedian. And Call of Duty used to do the same thing with hip hop artists being in the commercials and stuff like that. They need to get on board and because what that does is it's not for us, the hardcore, right? We know where these games are dropping. Sometimes we even have to correct IGN on where the games are dropping, but it's to get mind share from the casual player base. You know what I mean? I really hate to talk about this because, listen, I'm gonna throw a little slander here. When it comes to the other side, the blue side, right? The only reason why they're talking about this is because the power narrative is gone. The Xbox has no games narrative is gone. The Xbox won't win the ABK case narrative. That's gone. Game Pass fodder narrative obliterated. Game Pass will fail, gone. All that's gone, and all they have now is, Foam Stars and the Last of Us patch. You know what I mean? For $10, like, that's all they got to play. Like, and they need games, and all they're talking about now is Xbox games, and they need it. They want it. It wouldn't even, like, even with this conversation, we was starting to get gaslit by some media heads at IGN trying to compare like a 6-year-old game of Sea of Thieves is comparable to Final Fantasy 14. Like, one's first party, dude, and the other is third party. Right. Like, there's nothing to compare here. Stop trying to gaslight us to think that this is okay. It's not, right? So
and they wonder why we come at them, and they have the nerve to say why. Like, how dare you guys? Yeah, that's just ridiculousness.
Like, don't gaslight us into that crap, man. Obviously, whenever these talking heads go out there and they say consoles are all platforms, well, we have ABK now. That's COD. That's Overwatch. Right. That's Diablo and any future updates that it has. Even Bethesda games like Fallout 76 and ESO. That's the Minecraft IP. Those games exist on all platforms. So yes, they view those customers on other platforms as customers. Right. So of course they include them in that. Like, until I see a PlayStation or a Nintendo logo at a developer direct or Xbox showcase, I was about to curse.
No, listen, we're all adults here,
but
brother. It's fine.
shut up. Like
Yeah.
let's not go down. Like when it happens, sometimes it's good to get ahead of it and let them like voice your frustration, right? But once it happens, like really lay down the line, like because just like with the Xbox One, they reverse course on a lot of things. Whenever they launched it or officially announced it, right? Like the Kinect bundling, the price, like there's a whole bunch of stuff that was wrong with the Xbox One launch, but people voiced their opinions and they corrected it. So let's just wait. Let's just settle down. You know what I mean? If you see a PlayStation logo tomorrow, get the pitchforks out. You know what I mean? But you won't. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me that Xbox has 30 million gamers, PC has 150 million gamers, but yet we're concerned and want the 50 million players over on the PlayStation side. Like, how does that compute at all? Especially when you're trying to build a brand. So with that, I agree with Hargeet. There needs to be less chefs in the kitchen. When it comes to talking about Xbox games, or just be more clear about it, because a lot of people are, I mean, I had to mute some Xbox dudes because they was about to throw their Xbox away because some of these rumors. I was like, bro, calm down. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think it's funny you say that, because obviously, talking with Kay Asante, he was like, yeah, the people need to take a chill because this is just a rumor. And I think, again, I don't think it's true, folks. I just don't. It does not make any sense, especially when you are attempting to take one of the greatest services in media. Let's call a spade here, ladies and gentlemen. Regardless of what your favorite media is, whether that's film, whether that be music, whether that be gaming, the greatest service ever created that offers more value proposition to its subscribers than anyone else is Xbox Game Pass. There is just no comparisons to that. There just isn't. There may be close runner-ups, but there's no one doing it better. You get 500 plus games that are currently in the service. You get games that are developed from one person, like Vampire Survivors, to AAA bombs in the form of Hellblade 2. And you get all of that day and date in your service. You're paying $16.99 a month. It's no one could match it. And we've all talked about this. And I you know what I want to do, just for Kay Asante's here. Kay, welcome back, brother. Great to have you. I don't know.
Damn internet gods.
Damn internet. Yeah,
anyway.
It's listen. It's fine. Listen, we're still on the topic of that you was talking about. I like, because Black Viking and Hargeet knocked it out of the park.
As I expected they would. Yes. Sir.
What's your follow up to this? Because obviously you didn't get a chance. Your internet was down. You didn't hear. You can catch it on the replay. It's fine. But I want you to be able to at least finish your point.
Oh no, I'm just in general saying that. Even though this sounds potentially problematic, right? It does. I'm not saying it doesn't, but because you have entrusted them and you've invested in the platform and all of that, before you make your next decision as far as how you feel about it, or oh, I feel betrayed. I hear a lot of console mains feeling very betrayed at this thought, and I agree with a lot of the sentiments that folks have. I may not feel so strongly about it as some do, because and that's just how I approach gaming. I've been gaming on lots of different things for many years of my life, so it doesn't necessarily pain me as much as it may others. But I do understand if that's what your bread and butter is, if that's what you're about, and you want them to succeed. This is very much of a black eye in that, right? While I still say let's wait and hear their opinion, let's wait and hear the official verbiage from them before we adjudicate, before we make those decisions. I will say, though, obviously, with the smoke being around, there's obviously some fire there. If I have to give them a little bit of smoke myself, it's that I don't care what you're sending to wherever. can't y'all just enjoy what you have for a little bit, right? You got
Yeah.
something.
That's kind of what Kargeet and Black Viking were
right,
getting at.
that to me is righteous smoke all day, right? We all know that Microsoft always shoots the puck where we're going, not necessarily where we are. That's what they do, and because they do that, they are always seen as wrong when in fact they're just clairvoyant, right? And they tend to tell us where we will be in 10 years. They just don't get credit for it, right? That's what they've done multiple times, right? So in this instance, I can understand that people will be very, very, very upset about it, right? And it's understandable, it is understandable. But a part of me feels like we are having a horse and buggy conversation while the jet plane just passed overhead, right? It is gonna come eventually, but it comes when you guys want it to. That new paradigm arrives when you want it to arrive, right? And so many of these diehards that have rocked with you for so long, even when there was just a spark, have stuck with you for so long. You brought them. They brought you to the dance when you had no date, and now you're getting your pick of the litter and you're dropping them, right? And that to me is definitely righteous smoke. Let's talk about this next gen. Let's talk about this in 3, 4, 5 years. It coming out right now when hi-fi is still fresh in the mind and people are still hoping for DLC, that may not be the most righteous time frame to do these things. So to me, that is absolutely righteous. But at the end of the day, we don't it's not official. It hasn't been said. The people who we trust have not said anything about it, which understandably is also a little bit suspect, and people are getting up in their arms about the fact that they haven't said anything about it. But I want to hear what they have to say. Once I hear what they have to say, if I see that I see the value in it, if I don't, hey, I got nothing to say. The pitchforks are out and people can go about it what they will. The last thing I will say though is, while I am asking folks to temper their rage, temper all that because it's not official, it is super, super useful to let them know in a very constructive way how you think.
Absolutely.
Because they are always listening. So if this was literally a drop in the bucket of a bug of an ear at somebody who's on with Microsoft with Phil and they were having a beer and they discussed it just in passing, right? If it's just a nugget of an idea, hopefully the passions and the ire of the community will squash that idea, because clearly people don't like it, right? I don't think it's a thing until they tell me it's a thing, but it is useful that y'all, hopefully not too crazy, not too going outside and setting my Xbox on fire. We're not asking for that. That's too much. That's the vibe I'm getting from a lot of people. It's over. I'm gonna go and digitally burn all my games. Like, okay, right? But it is super useful that you let them know that, hey, me as an Xbox main, me as your diehard fan, I'm not a fan of that. I don't like what you're doing there, right? So all that is useful to me. So that's where I'll leave it.
No, I mean, listen, everyone has had incredible points. So a lot of people in the chat have been voicing their opinions and their distaste on the idea of these games going anywhere else. And that's the thing. You start to think, the way that this is framed by the media, and I have a Matt Piscatella, 2 tweets that I want to talk about, to close out this conversation, that I think are indicative of what we're all discussing here. It's not as if you're just releasing these games on the closed walled garden of Xbox, very similar to what PlayStation does. They release their PC ports a year, 2 years after the fact, right? They're just getting into releasing and we heard it. Jim Ryan said before he left. Now I don't know if it's the same sentiment anymore, but they'll never release day and date on PC on PlayStation. They want you to buy their box. They want you to play. Yeah. Okay.
One piece of the I forgive me. I know I had internet connection issues. One piece I did forget. So if it was mentioned by someone, apologies. But have we talked about the slide in the rumored leak? I'm sure people have seen it. That shows their thinking on games that are considered tentpole games that will stay exclusive versus games that could be called.
No,
could
no
be
one
called
mentioned
calling
it.
cards.
No one mentioned it.
Yeah,
No.
I've seen that
one
from
is
a while
super.
ago.
Yes, that one is super interesting because if you thread that needle with this, that kind of they're taking a. The best way I can describe it is they're taking a drug dealer approach at this point. You know, the fun spark, the cool one, that's yours. You can get that. Hi-Fi Rush, oh yeah, that's interesting. You want Hi-Fi Rush 2 when it turns AAA? Yeah, you're gonna have to pay for that. That's what it seems like. That it's like, oh, this one's interesting. Let's take it. Let's hit it for the streets. Because I see folks going, how does putting games elsewhere benefit Game Pass? In their slide, they literally spell it out. Not that I agree with them, but this is what they are saying, right? There's some calculus that they're using to differentiate these games. Not your Halos, not your Gears, not your Forzas, because those are tentpole titles, right? Those are AAA monster budget titles. What they're saying is when they're small ideas, they could, and if they're small ideas and they create a spark and people are interested in them, a la Hi-Fi Rush, they could go. But then when they become monster titles and the next one rolls around and they get a AAA budget, yeah, now you're going to have to come to us. That's what it seems like they're doing. Is it righteous? Will it work? But it does look like that is the idea. If we ever see it materialize, that looks like what they're doing. I call it the drug dealer situation. First one's free.
It's
You know what I'm
it makes a lot of sense. You're not wrong. But again, it's one of those things that if you're trying to dethrone the market leader, Sony's games, okay, yeah, they failed last year. Last year they only had one. Now it was a good game. No one's taking anything away from Spider-Man 2, but it was just one game. This year looks very similar, right? They have a lot of smaller titles. Obviously, one of their gas games is releasing this year with the bug creatures, Helldivers 2. I don't know how that's going to be well received or it's not. It looks very interesting for sure.
Helldivers 1 was amazing.
Yeah, and actually it's a different because that was actually like that top down version versus this is being a whole new game. So we don't know how that's going to hit, but they don't really have much in the tank this particular year as well. And it looks last year Xbox they delivered for sure. They're gonna potentially have a chance to over deliver this year as well. Maybe after the over delivering in 2024, you start to see that change. And like I said, the Call of Duty and Xbox Game Pass and the marketing that Black Viking was talking about, it's going to turn the tides. Now, it's not going to be 70% of PlayStation gamers have migrated over to Xbox. That's not going to happen. But you're going to see a big enough shift where it's going to be noticeable because people are going to say, well, where is my value proposition? $76.43 for Call of Duty for one game, or I spent $17 on this crazy good service. It's too good to be true. And I got Hellblade, and I got South of Midnight, and I got a Gears collection. Oh, and I got Call of Duty too, and plus whatever else they have coming out. There's no.
By the way, Boom. Anecdotally, loving Prince of Persia. Do you know how I?
Oh, it's phenomenal. Yeah, dude.
I subscribed to UB Plus, and then I was like, hey, this is actually
the way to go, right?
Yes, it is. The top tier and everything.
The top tier version.
Stay subscribed. I'm just saying, and I get the Xbox version and the PC version.
PC version, exactly.
It's a thing.
You say you're gonna stay subscribed?
I might stay subscribed. I'm just saying.
Cap. I'm calling cap.
I'm not gonna front.
Wait, you know why? Because I want to play Avatar. I want to play the.
I know. The gameplay
you
get like KC Mirage. You get the top version. It's like it's so cool.
I literally was like $17.99. I'm getting Prince of Persia. I'll beat it within a month, and then when Skull and Bones come, I'm done. And then when Skull and Bones come out, I'll try that for a month, and then I'm done. Yeah.
But still, right? But what I'm saying is, there are people for which that one and done thing may not work for them, and this is an option.
But if you have Game Pass, most of the newer titles like all the Far Cries, the Assassin's Creed,
they come.
Like,
they definitely come to the service. They come to the service. Absolutely. $17.99
is a wild price.
Yes, it is. I will most likely subscribe for maybe 2-3 months and catch up on the backlog on the Ubisoft side, and then wait for the next banger to drop. But I guess I bring up that point to say there's a lot of that in this world now. And as such, maybe that's what's causing Microsoft to kind of think about diversifying their portfolio, because people like that exist, like what I just did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
but you know what?
Yeah.
Yeah,
sorry, go
again,
ahead.
no, again,
Yeah,
Harvey.
So I don't know if you heard what I wanted them to do, Kate. Look, long term, I think they're going to go third party, but what I want them to do is solidify their portfolio a bit more. And what it ends up being is, look, all these games are going to be marketed by Xbox, but let's say they go and buy Square, Sega, EA, Take-Two, Ubisoft, Embracer, right, Warner, because they could, if they go third party, their cap is 40% of the market.
Yeah.
Of 350 billion in revenue. So all that adds up to less than 15%, 15%. So they could buy all that, say, we're putting everything everywhere. That's fine. But every one of those games is going to be marketed by Microsoft.
Day and date Game Pass.
It's day and date Game Pass.
If you want it on the console, you'll get the best version on the
exactly.
console.
And so you can choose to go wherever you like. No problem.
Yep.
However, if you want that convenience on a console with a Game Pass subscription, all these games day and date, our ecosystem, cross-play with PC, cross-save with PC.
I suspect some people might not like that, because that would then call them, they would turn, that would effectively, in their eyes, turn Xbox, that unique ecosystem that fought against the other competing ecosystems. It kind of turns that into, like, it dilutes it, right?
Right now, it's not good to do that.
Yes.
In a few years, it is. If they can start buying more, because the mind share would shift just because of all the marketing, right? The next Final Fantasy, if they buy Square, is marketed with Xbox. And just like Hogwarts, right? It'll get that, like, is this an Xbox game? Doesn't matter if it's on everything. It doesn't matter, right? That's what would have to happen. And if they do that, third party makes sense for them, right? Just like Windows, it's everywhere. It doesn't matter. You can freaking put that on a Mac. They don't care. Fine. But they also sell Surface. If you want their experience, they give you a Surface. Yeah. But you don't have to buy Surface. You can buy whatever you want. Build your own machine. They don't care. Install Windows. Have fun.
As long as you're in their ecosystem and playing their game.
They're happy. What, want Office? You're not on Windows? Okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
use it on whatever you're on.
Absolutely.
That's fine.
Yes.
Right.
That is the Satya move. Absolutely. Yeah.
And it makes sense once you get to the point where people only want Office. Right. That's when it becomes like, so that's where you need to get your catalog to be so impressive that people are like, oh,
that people have to have it wherever they are. Yes.
That's an Xbox. Yes. Oh, I'm going to go play that on. I need to go get an Xbox.
That is an interesting point. Yeah.
Right.
But to do that, they need to keep exclusives for a long time to make everyone love it.
At least this gen. At least this gen, you got to have your exclusives, because that's the game you're playing.
It'll be next
gen. You bought ABK and say no exclusives. That's what they're saying, right? So that means that's all third party. All it means is marketing. So it starts that pattern, right? And that's what you got to do. And like, you get the next one, it's probably going to be the same thing. If you get Square, for instance, you're not taking that exclusive, because you want the majority of those gamers are on the other platforms.
Even if they got Sega, let's say, for instance, that would be multi-plat, because they would make millions.
One, isn't it?
They've already written that in ink. We have that in the leak. When they were right before they purchased, they
were ready to buy
ABK. They were ready to buy Sega, presumably, and it says it in ink that they would keep it multi-plat, right? And it makes sense, because what are you going to do? Take go to Sega, say you're mine now, and now all their
everything
local
is
market
exclusive.
is gone. That would be nuts. People would hate them even more now, right?
Exactly. But every Yakuza, every Persona, every all those games that they just like announced at the TGAs. All that would be marketed by Xbox.
Yeah, right? If they get Sega, make it exclusive. I don't like this third-party business y'all talking about.
There could be one-offs that go exclusive from there.
Man,
but
you're a greedy gamer. There's nothing wrong with that.
I think it's tough to get that and make it all exclusive. But they can get other smaller developers in Japan and make those exclusive, right? And I think that could work. Right, so there'll still be Japanese content. They, as they said, by the way, they said they have games being developed in Japan by Japanese developers that are going to be exclusive to the platform. Right, they already have that. This would be a bigger play to make the big games, the big titles that people recognize, be associated with Xbox. Right, it's guaranteed to be associated with Xbox. I think that's where they get into it, and then the revenue would just keep adding to their bottom line. Right, and I think that's what needs to happen. So. If they go third party, everything's on the table now. Everything comes back on the table. And now you could go buy Take-Two. You could go buy EA. You could buy Ubisoft. You could buy Embracer, because, well, it still won't add up to enough to get anywhere close to monopoly levels. But you have to take away exclusivity. You also have to take away exclusivity in Game Pass. It can have it, but you have to offer it on others. And they do that, by the way. Bethesda games are going to PS Plus.
Yeah.
They still do it. So as long as they keep doing that.
Even Luna gets Bethesda games. So
as long as they keep doing that, they could keep buying up. And I think that's the ultimate goal. Right now, I just don't see it. Right now, it's not enough. They have to keep their exclusives.
Even next gen, I don't think they do it next gen either.
Don't you think the hardcore would feel betrayed even still if they went that route? Because I think that's a great plan. That's a great off-ramp to get to where they need to go, Hargy. I completely agree. But won't some of the diehards go, nah, man, we want exclusives and we want them from you, and you not doing that means you betrayed us? Won't they get that?
Yes, there's going to obviously be people like that, right? But I think it's going to diminish because ultimately it'll be about what are you bringing to the platform for those players, right? If you're going to get all those games, how much more do you need? What's left, right? So you're not going to get the PlayStation games, obviously. You're not going to get the Nintendo games. Well, MLB The Show, right? But beyond that, what are you missing? Bandai Namco. You're missing Capcom. You're missing Konami, right? Koei Tecmo. Do you think they're going to pull their games? Do you think CD Projekt Red is going to pull their games? Right? No, I mean, there's only so many left, right? When you get to that level, because the majority of the money is being made on mobile, right? That's why this works. But if they do that, right? So then what's the big hit? You're getting all those games, and they're all going to be in Game Pass, day and date, right? You're getting all that on this ecosystem. The other publishers are going to say, well, I don't think they're going to not have market share because you're going to have market share, right? You may not sell 110 million consoles, but you'll probably sell 60. And that's a good enough market. So people will put their games there, right?
And you still have PC, which is selling,
Right? So what do you have to lose? What is the loss for you at that point? Right now, it sucks because then I don't know if the next publisher says, well, you're only going to sell 35 million consoles. So it might not be worth it for me to put my game there.
So Hargy, what would keep somebody from, and if your plan, I don't like it. if your plan happens, what's to stop people from buying a PlayStation still?
Nothing.
And not coming over to
Nothing.
Xbox. Because PlayStation will still do the exclusive stuff. I just don't understand how a $1 trillion company would go third party before $1 billion company does.
Because they will go further than where PlayStation is. The problem is the future. The console is not the future. That's the problem, right? Eventually the console will start diminishing. It's already kind of stagnating, right? Okay. Industry analysts say that. Jim said that, Jim Ryan, right? I mean, you can just hear it from them. It's stagnating. It's not going up geometric. It's just stagnating.
Okay.
And it will start to fizzle as mobile and PC kind of take over, and cloud could be a part of it, right? Especially hybrid cloud, which we're going to get to at some point, right? Where you can play elements that are latency sensitive on local device, and the rest can come from the cloud. Who cares, right? And that is a viable path, very viable path. And in 10 years, that's going to be very easy to do. That's going to happen, right? And so you're going to start seeing the endpoint itself will just play whatever you want. You don't need the console as much anymore. There will be people who like it, but it's going to come down, right? The casual will not need it. And when that casual comes down, what's going to happen? Well, you already see it. PlayStation's putting their games on PC. They're eventually going to have to go mobile. There's just no choice. Once they do, right, and they already have a game coming that supposedly isn't even coming to PlayStation 5. That may not happen. It may or not happen, right? But if there's a game that's coming mobile and PC only, right, you're going to start seeing that happen because they have no choice. They have to pivot. We're still living in a world of, and we are still living in a world of console matters, right? Which is why today they should not do this. In the future, though,
next gen. I don't think they'll do it next gen either.
I think mid next gen is when you start to dip your toe into it, right? Because then you'll want the big publishers.
Some folks in the chat are challenging you about the regulatory bodies not letting them purchase. I think they didn't get the full needle threading as far as them going third party, and that's why regulatory
exactly.
Please expound a bit on that.
Yeah, so the problem with doing it now is you specifically say, I'm going to take that content and make it potentially exclusive, right? I might take it away, right? Yeah. And that becomes a foreclosure on other
Sony's
platforms.
Case, yeah.
right?
Yes.
But when you say, look, we're not doing that, and we'll write it down for you because we are not doing that, right? We will
going
put in
everywhere.
stipulations that for the next 50 years, we're not doing that. We're going to put it everywhere because we just want to sell games, right? We're a software maker. We're going to sell our games everywhere, right? So they could do that. And then that goes away, right? Because like anything over 10, 15 years, regulators are happy because you have a chance to make whatever case you want to on your own company at that point, right? So that's what would happen. And so they can buy whatever they want as long as they don't own any market, right? And that would be the case here. They would just say, hey, we're not going to own mobile. We're not going to own PC. We're not going to own console because we're putting everything everywhere. We don't care, right?
Yeah,
it just opens up the
box
potential
for those who want it, but
yeah,
it'll also
we'll give you a platform
anywhere else you want. Yeah,
right. So yeah, so we'll put everything everywhere. Of course, they'll market it. Everything will be marketed by them, so you will have that association with Xbox,
right?
But the game will be fully available everywhere. And I know, like you don't want to see this, right? But it's gonna happen. Eventually,
well, I love y'all to death, but if it happens, I better be 70.
I think it's going to be much faster than that because I think like the next generations that are growing up, they're going to push a different direction, and Microsoft sees that already. That's why they are very focused on mobile. They already are focused on PC, so they've already kind of figured out that this is going a different direction. They also see the casual market. It's much easier to say your TV already has it. Just go buy a controller, whatever controller you like. Connect up, right? And they're already working with those providers. Like, so there is physical changes in those TVs, by the way. It's not just a simple, we added an app. No, there's physical changes to make the latency better, right? So they're already working that with those.
They've added
TV
better
providers.
Wi-Fi radios. They've added better Bluetooth. Microsoft
and they'll keep expanding on that.
Giving them reference designs to add those things in.
You know, it's funny you say that. I literally just had a controller delivered today by PDP that's exclusively for the Samsung TV that I bought, and it's gotten crazy good reviews. It just was delivered. It's in like this midnight blue. It looks like an Xbox controller, except it's for the Samsung gaming hub. And you press the button like you would the guide button. You go right to it. I can start my Xbox playing, via the TV, not even the box, and it works fantastic.
Now, Boom. Imagine you give that to a young person, and they use that for a while, and then eventually they're in their teen years, almost going. And here we are.
They'll never look at a console again, dude.
They won't.
You will never be able to convince them that that's an Xbox. Oh,
so if all that happens, why put it on?
Matter not.
So if all that happens, why put it on competing platforms?
I agree. I don't think it's
because
it allows you to buy more.
Platforms have more eyes, right? They're still
but in a TV.
Then if it's on the smallest pool, right?
It also eliminates the regulatory headache, right? Because you don't take anything away from anybody.
Well, I don't want them to buy Take-Two and all these other like I think because I think still having some independence within publishers and studios is
there would still be independent publishers out there.
So but not many of the big ones. Again, that's a deep dark rabbit hole. Listen, gentlemen, this is what a fun fascinating conversation.
I love y'all, by the way.
We love you as well, brother.
One other interesting point, Boom, is the last part of that Satya Nadella thing, and I think Kay, you were getting on this, is the AI part of it, right? One of the things that's going to happen, right, is why he said that it matters with the GPUs that are used for gaming, is the Xbox is a GPU that's used for gaming that's in their data centers. This allows them to take advantage of those boxes when they're not being used for AI processing.
Into AI hubs. That's right.
So they will continue to leverage that, because one of the problems you run into is the investment needed to give you a lot of cloud infrastructure. Also, just if it's not being utilized, is a lot of money, right? Yeah. But if you say, well, while it's not being used, we're going to use it for AI stuff. It's like, okay, cool. Now you got a dual purpose, right? And you can get a lot more revenue back because you're going to be using it for your AI capabilities. There is a lot there. That is an interesting statement, and you can see that that's going to be something they take advantage of.
Again, a fascinating conversation, and again, it's a great 2 hours. Can't believe it's 2 hours, right? I feel like we just literally started. Crazy. Let me catch up on the super chats because we have a big one here from J Dub. He asked a pretty maybe that's a pretty good question. The Trillist drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, I think the factor in Microsoft Xbox not clarifying exclusivity is mainly because the FTC is on their ass. I think they've got legacy titles, including their remakes. That's it. New IP ? I doubt that. Now, J-Dub, I'm going to come to you in a hot second, brother. Let me just read these two because I want to answer your question. Chris R. drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, if they did go third party, my main concern is quality. We already have seen some development issues. I'm not sure adding multiple consoles, or he says systems, would help that. That's programming for multiple platforms. If they can't deliver on their own, is what he's saying. That's an interesting theory. Snake Eyes 327 drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, Microsoft wants to grow Game Pass and that ecosystem rather than the plastic box. Growing the service would be infinitely more profitable. Yeah, it's true. They want to, like Netflix, like Apple TV, like Prime. They want to grow their brand. How do they get you into their ecosystem? Exclusive content that is good. That's why I'm subbing Apple TV. I was like, Apple TV, whatevs. And now we saw, the Godzilla show, and I was like, wait a second, they have all this other great content. Now I'm hooked. I'm in, right? Same thing for Netflix. Pick your favorite. Like I said, putting me in the stand here, Mrs. Boom and I, we love Netflix. We love their films. We absolutely do. But we are in it because they are the best place for like Asian drama TV that we enjoy. And we like the films. We everything is subtitled. We like, they give us what we want. That's why we stay subbed. Same thing can be said about Xbox Game Pass. You want to sell to your players, and you want to invite new consumers, new customers. How do you do that? Zeitgeist level titles that people can only play on your service, which is why I think they need to continue to do that. And J-Dub says this after dropping a very generous $20 super chat. Good evening, panel. Great conversation. At what point will Satya and Tim Stewart's interviews and statements be definitive for you? And do you think eventually Phil will tell everyone this has been done, the true plan all along? I mean, it's a fair question. I'll go to you first, Black Viking. Yeah. I'm going right to you first.
All right, yeah. So I'm guessing everybody the rumor is the next Xbox comes out in 2026, right? So like they're trying to leapfrog the PlayStation, right? So whenever they announce another Call of Duty, that Call of Duty will probably have all the bells and whistles, but they'll still release it on PS5 because it'll exist there in Xbox One. But the new Call of Duty will have, bells and whistles. It's the next gen Call of Duty. That's how they get skate away from the regulatory bodies, right? So I guess once you believe what Jim Ryan said about if a degraded version of Call of Duty on PlayStation would seriously damage their reputation, and the gamers would desert the platform in droves, and network effects would exacerbate the problem, the business would never recover. So I guess once you believe that, we'll believe this. So that's my thing.
No, I mean, it's a fine answer for sure. Hargeet, let's get your hot take on this. J-Dub asked the question: what if Phil comes out and says that this was the plan all along?
It is the plan all along. They've been like, it's going to go third party, but that is a while away. It's just, that's it. I mean, that's obvious just because mobile is where the money's at, right? Are they a primary player in the mobile space? No, right? We already know that. So as far as console, they're going to keep playing the console. They'll keep doing their thing. We'll have exclusives for a while, and I don't know when that changes. As far as the third party thing, since they bought Mojang, they've been third party.
Right.
That's just the way it is. It's
and Activision
selective
stuff is going to stay third party. Yeah.
Right. Much like MLB The Show.
Yeah, and Destiny now, right? And Marathon when that comes out, right?
Exactly.
Like, so,
and Marathon, it will be everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? it is what it is, right? This is a new world that you're going to be entering, and I guess you'll have to realize that a lot of your games are going to go everywhere too, because they're going to go cloud. That's going to happen. They're going to go mobile. That's going to happen. You're just going to have to deal with it, right? All these platforms are kind of realizing they have to shift to have relevance in the next decade. It's just the way it is, right? So, are they third party? Yes. Are they going to stay third party? Yes. Are they going to expand third party? Yes. I don't think that's really changing anything.
Yeah.
What's changing is what will be third party. And that's the part that's annoying, is just be clear about what is third party and what is going to stay exclusive. If that's what we just need to understand what the heck they mean there, right?
Yeah.
They already said ABK is going to be open third party, right? That's what they've been saying. At least that's what we get from the court stuff. I don't know what the ultimate answer is. We will find out when we have that roundtable. So,
yeah.
Or not.
And we have to wait to hear it. Yeah, and the roundtable is coming. Yeah. Okay, Asante, before we get on out here, we get outros. What are your thoughts to J Dub's comments regarding was this the plan all along?
I mean, I'm with Hargeet. Like, if it wasn't the plan all along, remember, you are a business, you are a money-making entity, right? You've heard me say it time and time again. They are not here, as everyone says, it's show business, not show friends. They are not here to be your friends. They are here to separate you from your dollars. And the moment they realize they can separate you from more of your dollars by putting it everywhere, why the hell would they not do that, right? But I do agree that you've cultivated a fan base, and in this environment, in this market, you don't want to throw away what you have in favor. You don't want to throw away the guarantee in favor of the maybe, and that's what they would do.
That's a great point,
if they quickly do this transition, right? Like, we are the graybeards. Like, we are the horseshoe makers while the cars just drove by. That is where we are right now. Recognize yourself. If you have stuff like this on your face, you are me, and you are not the target audience. But if they are smart, it'll be a slow transition. And by the time you're ready to go, oh, you sons of bitches, you'll be 70 years old, and your children will be like, shut up, Pops. Take this tablet. It has all these games on it.
Take this tablet. Go sit in your wheelchair, will ya?
You know, here's a controller and turn on the TV. You got all your stuff, right?
It's like the Wii that was in the old nursing homes and shit.
Yeah.
Go turn on that
Here's your
plastic
Xbox. Here's your PlayStation. Shut up.
While the newfangled spangled kids will be putting on their AR spectacles and just playing and all streamed into
that's the
their
thing
eyeballs.
that's coming that we're not even thinking about, right? That glasses are going to be what you use in the future, and it's going to totally change the whole thing, and it'll all be like mobile versus what you have today. But
well, you know what's crazy? I'm using the Oculus the
Quest?
third the Quest
Meta
3
Quest 3,
and I'm doing VR
game changer, right?
I'm doing VR workout classes. I've lost 7 pounds in 3 weeks so far.
Nice,
excellent,
and it's been freaking absolutely amazing. Yeah, I'm down to 210, and I have trainers that I work with every day or every other day, and it's freaking crazy. I can't wait for this to actually be like a holodeck kind of situation. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, big thank you to all the super chats. They allow Mrs. Boom and I to do the big giveaways. And obviously we have 4 monster giveaways this year. I wasn't sure about when we were going to give away the 15 copies of Stalker 2. Now we know that it's in September. So most of our big giveaways is going to be towards the end of the year, and actually gives us a chance to kind of save for it, because in 4 different of the 4 contests that we're doing that have been announced, we are giving away $3,500 in 4 shows. We're giving $1,500 away at the minimum for our annual holiday show in December. We're giving 15 copies away of Stalker 2 to support the devs. We're buying those at full price, and we're going to give 15 copies away. Again, it's just our small mom and pop way of helping out a developer that's had a rough go at it. And we have our 2 birthday shows where it's our birthday, but you folks get the gifts, and those are 2 $500 shows each one. And we can't do that without channel memberships. We can't do that without the incredible support that we get, and we just like giving back. That's just something we really, really enjoy doing. So a big thank you to all of that. Let's get everyone out of here, and we're going to start first with the Black Viking, because again, the Longhouse Gaming Podcast is something that you need to add to your weekly watch or listen, because last night's show was dope AF. Lots of laughs, lots of fun, lots of slander. If you like slander, you got to check this out, because they are all three of them. They're slander extraordinaires, if I may say so. And obviously, they're at 1.2. They're at 1,200 subs, which is amazing. And folks, well, in order for them to be partnered with YouTube, they are just a pinch over 300 watch hours away. And we want to see them get that. Oh, how much?
5 hours now.
Oh, it's 5 hours now. Well,
yeah.
I
guess
there
it
you
just
go, folks.
updated. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you updated. So they're 5 hours away. So watch it a couple of times. It's well worth the watch.
Yeah.
Sell your brand, Black Viking. This, again, what you guys do over there is fun. And like I said, you guys are tremendous content creators, and you've seen some pretty big success rather quickly. But that's because people like what you're putting down. Sell your brand, brother. Talk about that, where they can subscribe, and more importantly, reach out to you on social media.
That's right, man. First of all, I've loved the conversation we've all had today.
Yeah, it was fun.
I like being able to, I don't like being in echo chambers all the time. So like, it's cool when somebody says something
Indeed
that I don't really agree with, and we can have a little back and forth respectfully. I love it. It's amazing. And we do that at the Longhouse Gaming Podcast too. I'm the only Xbox centric person on the show, and the two others, they're pretty neutral. Although they're having to get some dust off their PlayStation at the time, because they ain't got no games to play, but they're vocal about it. You know what I mean? They don't try to make any excuses for it. So it's pretty cool dynamic. And with that, about disagreeing, Xbox will not go third party before PlayStation does. You heard it here first.
Okay.
That's
fair.
I mean, full third party. They're both third party. I mean, even some of the third party games that are on Sony, are even in Game Pass, which is crazy. With MLB The Show. So, I mean, hey, things are looking up. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter at the Black Viking 3. The super slanderous on there. But I calm it down a little bit for the show, just a touch. And you can find me on YouTube at the Longhouse Gaming Podcast. So
nice.
Yeah. Yep. So y'all sub up, man. We would love to see y'all in the chat. Our chat goes crazy. You know what I'm saying? We have a good time, plenty of laughs. It's a dope show.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You definitely should add it to your weekly listening. Hargi Chani, you also work with a couple of, well, I don't want to say a couple, because Asa is pretty, you know what you're going to get with him. He knows that, like I said, he's an assassin. That guy will get you right in the ribs when you're not looking. But you work with the Source Master himself. Obviously, Gaz from Game On Daily, something that you work with. Were you on last Saturday's show?
Yeah.
Yes, you were. Yes, you were.
Spicy.
Yes, very, very spicy, to say the least. Talk about it, brother. Where can people sub that YouTube channel, check out some of the Source Master work that he does, and more importantly, not find you on social media?
YouTube.com/GameOnDaily, and there's GameOnDaily.com, which is the news aggregation site. Check that out if you want to get your gaming fix. And then our podcast is go live on 4 p.m. on Saturday, 4 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time on Saturdays. Check out the last one. It was fun with Gaz, me, and Detective Seeds. Asa was there as well. But we had a lot of interesting, fun discussion about going third party. So check that out. And I am H Chani on Discord, H Chani on Xbox. And then I'm also on Fonz's Games Talk Live.
Indeed,
which is Sunday at 6 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. Check that out with Fonz and me on Fonz Gaming's channel. And then we'll be back here next week. But I don't know if I'll jump in on Friday. We'll see. Hopefully, I will
send you I'm going to email you the link. You join for a few minutes. We're going to be responding or talking about what happened on Thursday, because obviously I'm not doing anything live on Thursday outside of my 12 o'clock show. I'm making room for everyone. I want to enjoy it as a fan. So obviously whatever happens is happening. I'll get on the socials. I'll give you my opinion. But of course, Friday morning breakfast with Boom at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be covering everything that transpired, good, bad, or otherwise. and looking forward to that. And of course, last and no way least, my very good brother, Asante, who's obviously made some tremendous headway with the Gaming Circle podcast each and every Saturday, 10 a.m. with his co-host, I don't know, did he get his knees back? The Everborn Saga.
The Niels one,
Man,
yeah.
brother.
Oh well, thank you for always the great chat, always great discussion. This was especially cool because we got to get all deep in the headiness of the thought processes, and it's great. We should have more conversations like this. Black Viking brother, I keep saying we need to have you on the show. We're definitely gonna have you on.
Let's make it happen, man. Sometime in February or March.
Yes, let's make it happen because yes, we need to have more of these conversations. But thanks to all the great folks that are in here. You can catch me, K Asante, TKO Asante on Xbox, PlayStation, all those places. And of course, I am the co-host of the Gaming Circle podcast, as well as the Gamers Playground, one on Saturday and one on Monday. Now, the Saturday show is going. We 2024 is going to prove to be a very interesting time for us. We're finally taking all of the feedback seriously, and by that I mean we've turned on the channel memberships. We're doing more giveaways. Oh, next week we're interviewing a developer. You guys have heard me expound on how much I love Cookie Cutter. The developer's Cookie Cutter is going to be on the show. We're gonna talk with him about his process. So yeah, lots of crazy moving and shaking, and at some point we might even be giving away a Series S. So come check us out. We always have fun. Saturday mornings, we call ourselves PG-13. We are G.I. Joe, but we shoot lasers, not guns. So come and find the strategic ways we try not to swear. But we have a great time. Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, the Gamers Playground, Monday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you guys so much. And we'll see you next week.
Definitely looking forward to that. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close out today's show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends.